STMK Radio 100.
Drop. It's perfect. Hi, I'm Kurt Hosenbeck, and I use Wix.com to create websites for my business, my passion projects, or in this case, both. Here, check out my 8 prize-winning Basset Hounds I call family. With Wix Pro Gallery, my images keep their high quality online and make these good-looking dogs look their absolute best. Not like any of these handsome fellas need my help. These photos display at such stunningly high resolution. Just look at them. Bonkers for Basset Hounds. Just their ears. The hounds of the Bassetville. Halloween doggy costume time. Christmas with the hounds. Old photos I forgot I had. Taxidermied friends. And drawings of the dogs. Basset Hounds. The world's most sophisticated animal. Create your own stunning website with Wix.com.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker. Do both. Lose 120 pounds and become an Ironman after beating a brain tumor. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football, play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
No match for the good people of Texas.
I'm so proud of you guys.
I will be out there fighting with you. I am not going away.
I applied for the job, but I got a rejection letter here.
I won't have the blessing of serving as the next governor of the state of Florida.
Mr. President, I look forward to working with you.
And I know that you've put your faith in me, and you'll do it again.
We are tough, we are resilient, and when the chips are down, we stick together.
The worst thing would be to not ever run at all.
We will never yield the hallowed ground of patriotism to the extremists at the State House and in the White House.
God bless our great country. Let's get to work.
Together we can organize around the politics of hope.
I commit to devote my heart, my mind, and my energy.
I'm back, and here I am.
I end this in a way that I've been filled up so much more by you.
We are just getting started.
If we are going to turn this ship around as a country, it is not good enough to throw a rock at our neighbor's yard. We need to clean up our own house.
Today is more than about Democrats and Republicans. It's about restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration.
Hey, good evening and welcome for Free Fall Thursday on Stop the Madness. Keep it 100. In Studio 51 with me right now is the great book writer, Mrs. Summers. Hey, welcome, Miss Summers.
Hello.
There you go. Just pull into your mic a little bit so they can, so our audience can hear you. There you go.
Hello.
There you go. They can hear you now. Also, hey, tonight we're going to do a little talking. Saxman's out in the field. Tone the Stone and J Mack is on their way. We got a storm coming through, electrical storm. So we're live streaming. We may lose our visual, but we will be still on radio. You can hear us. And if you're looking for great news after Tuesday midterm election, you got to meet the Houston 19. All 19 black women who ran for various judges' seats in Harris County, Texas, won their races, making this the biggest single victory for black women in the history of this country. Now, that's what it is, and you can't beat that. I mean, we didn't win some of the biggest races that we thought we was going to win, but the women Me Too movement came out, they showed out, and it was really wow. And everybody has to understand this. We have to take steps. Tony Stone talked about it last time. Right now, we got checks and balances on 45. He can't take your pensions. He can't take your Social Security. Somebody's checking them, and now they have to do their constitutional responsibility on it. And if you look at it, the Democrats didn't have a small wave. They had a big wave. And we may not have won, like I said, won all the places we want to go, like we're going to talk about Georgia later on. But they took over the House. Now there's checks and balances, as I said. The Democrats won 28 seats in the House and may go to win 45 because 15 of those seats are still not decided yet. And if you remember, the young man who got killed in Florida under the Stand Your Ground law, his mother just took out a Republican incumbent in the 6th District of Georgia. We're going to talk about that also. Then you have to look at this. The Democrats took over 323 state seats, 6 governor seats, and they flipped 7 state house chambers. So that means now in 7 state house chambers is being run by the Democrats. So you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. Hey, Russell Wilkins in the house with the University of Southern California and UCLA. Saxman is out on the road, Russell, and I know that there's some things that you wanted to talk to him about, but we're going to hit on that later on in an hour when we get done talking about our election. ATL's in the house next month. We're going to have Chris Sanders here and the comedian some more. They're going to be in town and in studio with us also. We're going to be talking about that. Savannah, Jacksonville, and we got Houston, Texas right there. Michael Schock. Hey, thank you for joining us. YouTube Live and Facebook. Hey, thank all y'all for joining us in our social media. Our telephones are down right now, so we're going to be in the chat room later on talking about what's going on. And everybody's talking about the election, so let's get right back into that. Miss Summers, you know, the Me Too movement made the women, if you was a woman, it just stood out.
Yeah.
I mean, it really stood out. They made the women, 117 women got elected, which vote is still ticking in. 96 women have been elected to the U.S. House, 12 women to the U.S. Senate, and 9 women will serve as governors. You can't beat those numbers when it comes to female participation right there. Tone the Stone running in late as always. What's up, Tone Stone? Your mic ain't on, so you got to mic up. Here go Tone the Stone. What's up, Tone the Stone? You in there right there?
What's going on, Sean? What's up, STMK Radio 100? What's up, Maria?
Hey, Tone the Stone is in the house with us, so I guess J Mack is still out there trying to find his way.
Yeah, J Max said He's not gonna make it.
Okay, he can come in. So right there, J Mac and Saxman ain't gonna be with us. So we got just me, Tone the Stone, and Miss Summers sitting in the studio. And then you have to look at this about all these women coming in, and serving, and women of color. That's going to change the outlook of our politics right there. And for everybody who really want to make Trump mad, his worst demon, his kryptonite, is standing right in front of him. A woman with power, and she knows how to use it. Nancy Pelosi would take over the gavel again, and Trump got a problem. He got a problem because she's not gonna be bullied, and she's not gonna fall for her stuff, and she's not gonna let Mitch McConnell try to bully her, telling her what she got to do and how she got to do it. So there's a lot of takeaways from the election, and I want to go right here to Tony Stone for a minute. What you think about that Georgia with Kemp and the young black lady who refused Abrams?
Yeah, so she still hasn't conceded. So they still haven't tallied all the votes yet?
Well, all the votes aren't tallied. And under Georgia law, if she comes up in percentages, whether he got 62,000 votes or not, if his percentage dropped below 50%,
right,
they got to do a runoff.
Right.
And that's something right here that I want to touch on for a minute, Tom.
That's the way it should be, though.
Well, I love Georgia's system. I love Georgia's system. The only problem with Georgia's system is that a person who didn't really get enough votes could jump in and win the election on the runoff. Okay, because you may not get the same votes on the runoff again. And Tennessee even got something even more crazier where they split the votes down to the people, and maybe the third person may get more votes splitted that you didn't vote for and get in the runoff. So that's some things that's happening. But Georgia's system I really like, because what Georgia says is if you do not get 50% plus one, that means that it's a runoff, and just the only top two people get in there. Mm-hmm. And that could make a difference in this race, because some people voted third party in Georgia and wrote in. Without them playing in the field, she could be the first black female governor in the South. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a hard pill to try to hold right there, because you have to understand this. We talking about Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, deep South, deep red states, mm-hmm. where black ain't never been there before, okay? So you look at that and you start talking about that issue right there, just to get close where she's at is a thing to let you know that the South is turning, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And you have to understand that the Republican, Donald Trump, has technically killed the Republican Party, because he has set the Republican Party to elderly white males and females 65 and up, and that's a small graphic, and it's changing daily. So they're going to be like the Green Party in a minute. I believe independents is going to step in and take over the Republican Party, which they should, because the Republican Party is really gone. But I want to go here because in Georgia, there's only 63,000 votes separating the two candidates. Mm-hmm. The biggest problem is that the person in control of counting these votes and running the election is the person who's in charge, the Secretary of State, Mr. Suppression himself, Mr. Kemp. You know, Mr. Kemp and the gentleman down in Kansas City who lost the governor race, Kovach, they're the one that started the cross-check and started removing people's names off of the roll. And if you remember, we did the show where if Tony J. Howard and you, Tony M. Howard, was in California registered, and now you in Ohio registered, they removed you from both states off the rolls, and it was only doing it to people of color. Mm-hmm. And there's still some issues in Georgia that hasn't been addressed, where the judge ruled the 53,000 votes that he threw out, provisional ballots, they have to be counted, that hasn't been counted. Mm-hmm. And then you have the mail-in ballots that haven't been counted. So that race may take some weeks to go. But the race you have to look at deep in Georgia that everybody has to be happy for is Lucy McBath beat GOP incumbent Republican Karen Handel following a tough race. And that seat has not had a Democrat in it in over 200 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of good signs of progress evident from this election, but as I'm a firm believer, it's a lot of signs of progress every day. You know, there's always, of course, there's still issues that we face as a nation, as a people, you know, as a society, as a world daily. But you know, I like to look at the cup as half full. So the fact that we're making progress steadily, you know, one day it might not be in my lifetime, or it's probably certainly not going to be in yours, Sean. You getting older, you get old. It might not be.
Yeah,
It
I
might
don't
not
know.
be in me and Maria's lifetime either. But you know, I'm optimistic that you know in our future generations, one day we're gonna get it right. Everybody's gonna be all good.
But you
You
know,
know.
Slow
so
progress is better than no progress.
right,
Right.
but you know, Miss Summers, and I'm gonna say this right here. This election has really taken me back to the '50s when I was a kid, and I'm gonna say this because I've seen it, I lived it, but I never thought I'd see it again, where you have people actually coming out on TV calling people the N word and sending robocalls and going after Oprah and hanging loose up and telling people if they come to the polls they're gonna kill them. I mean that is so outrageous, because what I want to tell you is that if we don't stop the hate and we don't stop the hate talking, and Nancy Pelosi is going to put Trump in his place, and we have to go with this, because when Trump started talking hate tone, remember I told you got to believe who they is if they showing you. And soon as he came out and said he was a nationalist, what happened? We had pipe bombs going all through the mail. We had guys walking in the Senate cars talking about the Jews is trying to let people come in. And you haven't heard anything since the election, since Trump lost the election. You haven't heard anything about the caravan that they bringing smallpox into the thing, and the Army's going down there. We're spending $5 million a day for the Army to sit on our border for no reason, because the caravan is thousands of miles away, and those people's walking. They're not in cars. So we have to really check this, and I think this is what's getting ready to happen with the Democrats, because if you look what Trump did, firing the Attorney General, he has taken control of his own investigation, and we really gonna have to think about changing some constitutional amendments after all this is over with. I doubt if we can do it now, but we're gonna have to in these state houses take them over and change the constitutional amendments, because there's no way that the president should be able to take control of our Justice Department, take control of his own investigation, pardon his kids, make millions and millions of dollars for his family off our institutions, and our people are starving, homeless, the veterans ain't getting treated. They cutting Section 8. They talking about cutting SNAP programs. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. And I think some of the courts should step in on that. And the problem that we have, Tony, I'm going to say this, is that we allowed them to stack the courts for almost 80 years.
Well, yeah, and just speaking about this election that just took place, that was one thing that kind of stood out in my mind, is all the judges on the ballot that you hear about issue one, you hear about the governors and the senators or whatnot, but you wasn't really hearing too much about which judge is the right for the bench, and I think those are just as important, that people are getting the right information about which judge is the correct one to judge to vote for, because on a more direct level for the people of the community, those are the people that they, especially coming from our community, those are the people that they're going to have to deal with on a more regular basis, and hopefully be able to expect getting fair treatment. On a bright note, though, there was in Texas, I forget what the name of the city is in Texas, but there were like 17 black women.
19. We just talked
19?
about that.
Oh, okay.
We call them the Houston 19. We going back on that.
Oh,
The
okay.
Houston 19 with 19.
I was a little late. I didn't hear
19 black women won their judge seats. It's
Yeah.
called the Houston 19 Harris County. And that is the biggest win for minority women in the history of this country. And that's what everybody has to understand. We're in a pocket. We got to stick our head out of this pocket. I tell everybody in Cleveland this, because the biggest issue that I want to talk about, and we're going to go into it a little bit before we get, because Saxman didn't have his section there. But, Ms. Summers, we was talking about last couple of weeks about the opiate crisis. So tell me what you think about issue one.
I think what everybody else thinks. I think that I just feel like with these drugs and opiates and all of that stuff, I just feel like it's kind of sad because I don't want to say what I'm thinking because it's gonna come off kind of.
No, go ahead. You on the air. You have to see. Everybody has.
I think it's unfortunate because it's
just moving just a little
I
bit.
feel like when drugs now all of a sudden that it's more affecting. I guess it's more so affecting white kids. It's become a big deal now.
Well, now it's a health hazard.
Yeah, now it's a problem, but it's been a problem.
Right,
It's
it was
been
an
an issue.
it was an issue back during the crack era.
And now that everybody, now that it's little Tommy and so are coming, now it's an issue. Now you want to raise awareness about it. Now you want to make it a big deal, but it's like.
Well, issue one had two sides to it. So let me go this because you know what? Me and the activists at the last panel, Tone, on the 17th, you're taking my spot on that panel because I'm too much of a rebel to be there telling telling the police. Well, I'm used to calling people out, so I'm gonna say this: if the police is wrong, I have no problem with calling the police out. So on this panel, it's police officers and activists,
right?
And I have no problem calling the police out. I don't have no problem calling the activists out, and more so the activists because they're the ones in the community want people to follow them. And I believe if you in the community and you ask me to follow you or you ask my kids to follow you, you should at least be informed of what you're talking about and give them the proper information. So this is the problem I have with issue one and the activists. And this split up a couple of organizations like the NAACP, got two different chapters in Carter County. Their chapters were split. It split black judges from the community, and it split up most of the community. My thing is that issue one was not a fix-all, but it was a start. And there's no way you can be against mass incarceration, okay? And there's no way you can be against police accountability, okay? And you could be for SB 66, which takes felonies away from people who have felonies up to 5. You can sponge 5. But this is the problem, and I have to say this, that I had to tell the activists. Why should I have to expunge 5 felonies? That means I have to be arrested, put in the system, go to jail, do some time, get a lawyer, and then come back and try to get the law from SB 66. So this is where I had the problem with them at. So let me just break it down right here. Issue one, first of all, and we had that big argument last week, did not address trafficking.
Nope.
So if I have 20 grams of fentanyl on me and I'm a drug abuser, okay, one, I'm going to be dead. They can't even take the little bit that they have now about passing out. If they snort I don't know what it's like a little cigarette pop of it, they're passing out and doing stuff. 20 grams of fentanyl, they would be dead. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they told a lie to you because if a dealer has 20 grams, he's not using his supply.
No.
He's selling.
He's selling it.
And I don't care if you have 1 rock of crack cocaine, if you're standing on the corner and you're selling it, you're going to be charged with trafficking. You're going to jail for trafficking. Then it goes into the bulk amount. So if you got a rock, you get charged with trafficking. If you got a over the bulk amount, you get charged with aggravated trafficking. So they spread all those lies, and the judges came out. Yep. Now, what everybody has to understand, the judges came out against it because they didn't want to lose their power. Okay? When you do a constitutional amendment, it tells the judge what they must do. Okay? They didn't want to lose their power. Secondly, the police department and the police came out against it because they don't want to be able to be told how to do enforcement within the community. They want to be able to let Johnny go and take Bobo or little boo-boo to jail. Okay? They want to be able to walk up on a corner, grab them, and now they're going to charge them with a felony.
Yeah, they want to be able to pick and choose.
And I said this in a meeting, and there again, I have never seen a officer in a patrol car make a legal violation of state drug law arrest. Okay? And I'm going to tell everybody that's standing right here. The police cannot pull up on me if I'm standing on a corner and search me, go through my pockets, make me take my shoes off, go in my underwear, see what's down in my pants. That's an illegal search and seizure. Okay. And they didn't want to do that. Okay. They didn't want to give that chance. Mass incarceration, instead of sending black kids to jail, they had to put them in treatment. Okay. There's big money in private jails. Okay. That's why the jails are full. That's why people being held past their sentences and given maximum sentence of 10 years or whatever, because the state of Ohio is putting them in these private jails, and the private jails have a contract with the state that they can have so many prisoners. Okay. They threaten to sue the state if issue 1 passed to make the state make up for the money they was going to lose. Okay. So when you look at this right here, where issue 1 addressed the problem of police accountability, mass incarceration, plus it addressed treatment. Now, that ain't a catch-all, because guess what? People not getting treated now, okay? And they're not going to jail now, okay? But what issue 1 did do, and I'm going to say this is the catch-all for me. What issue 1 did do was set the stage equally for everybody, okay? Which means if the little brown boy get caught with drugs, he goes to treatment as the same as the little white boy does, okay? And I go back to what some of the families did, and they went on a family's issue. If you're using drugs and you end up hurting somebody, okay, or you cause a tragedy, that's a whole new different ball game. Then I could see them lowering the boom on you and taking it down to putting you in jail, because you are not only a danger to yourself, but you're a danger to society.
Exactly.
Now, I understand, and I go with that. And when you look at this, when we talk about opiates, it's really, really wild of the number of people that's involved on opiates. And everybody don't understand this. The inner city is not a drug-infested place.
No, it's
okay?
not. It's the suburbs.
Right, but it's the suburbs, and most people don't understand the good people from the suburbs come into the inner city to buy their drugs. You're the people that you smiling at that's cutting their grass, sitting out there and drinking. They come down here to get their drugs, use their drugs, and then they go home.
And they go right back home.
And that's what caused the problems in our inner city.
Exactly.
So, Tone, tell me, what was your takeaway from the election? What did you like? What you didn't like?
It's the, I don't know. I like the fact that everybody, more and more people getting involved. Like, everybody's starting to take some ownership and getting involved in the process. What I don't like is that for the time being, until we have a major political reform in the way government is ran and the way the whole system plays out, it's the same old game over and over again, So, yeah, I mean, personally, I feel like I don't identify as Democrat or Republican, but personally, I feel like a lot of things, the issues and the policies that the Democrats talk about are in the interest of being fair and equal to everybody, as opposed to Republicans. But so the good thing is that more and more people are starting to get involved, and like I said earlier, hopefully that'll all play out down the line in, more and more progress until the day comes where, we have a world where people aren't as simple and as stupid, as to base their decisions on their dislike for somebody, which is stupid in their self, because they especially if they hate somebody because they're a different skin color. That's the most ignorant thing that I can possibly think of.
But you know that
it's the world we live in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to
hopefully,
look at this.
We'll weed that out.
That, yeah.
But you have to look at this, Tone. This started way before us, okay, and way before you. But the problem is that we thought this dragon was slayed and gone, okay, and this shows us the hate for not Hillary or any other policies that they want to push back, because you had states Tuesday that put abortion in their constitution, okay, just because they knew that the Supreme Court may try to outlaw Wade versus Roe. So they put it in the Constitution so they couldn't outlaw. So when you look at this, what's happening is that when you got the hate for your first black president, and and everybody don't want to look at this as it is, so I have to go back to call it the way it is. All this is over Barack Obama, the hate for the first black president, and they want to wipe him off the books. But when you look at this, they came out against Hillary. They held her to a standard that they wouldn't hold nobody else to.
Well, I think that, see, for the racist people, it was a hate for Obama just for the pure fact that he was black.
Right.
They're ignorant, thinking that they're superior because they're white. They couldn't stomach the idea of a black man being in the office. So what the Republicans, I'm not saying that the whole Republican Party lives by that principle. But what they did was they were smart enough to know that was easy votes for them. These people are so simple. They're so stupid that they're going to vote just because. Yeah, they played on their stupidity just because they're stupid enough to say, hey, I don't want a black person in office. We're going to use that to our advantage. So these are guaranteed votes for us. And then all we have to do is convince other people with some sense about the benefits of our policies.
And that's exactly why Trump is in office.
Right. And then you have to look at that. Okay. They used us, the mind control game, and there's a book out about this too, but they used the mind control game on us of mass incarceration and what's going on. So we will get mad and either stay home or come and take up their fight.
Right.
And they tried to do that this time, but with all the women, the Houston 19 that you love, and there's a picture that we put up on our Facebook page, and that were the Houston 19 that came out. And they are all judges, 19 in the state of Texas, people. Okay, Harris County. Okay, you look at what O'Rourke did and all them did down there. The guy that was running against Ted Cruz, he brought a coattail because now you got some brothers that are going to the House of Representatives for the first time out of Texas. Okay, so when you look at these the flex of people in Texas, Texas is going to flip blue. Georgia going to flip blue. Florida is going to be a so-so because of the Cubans and Puerto Ricans down there, and they're going to have to do one thing. They're going to have to find out who their identity is, okay? Because on the panel that I was on, you'd be surprised what some of the people of color are saying about other people of color. It's just shocking, you know. And I want to go here because I'm going to tell you one person that is going to take it to Trump, and I guess we're going to see his taxes. So everybody get ready for his taxes because Maxine Waters is going to be head of the Finance Committee, and she is not playing with Trump, okay? She had 2 pipe bombs sent to her, and you remember what he called her, low IQ Maxine. She's getting ready to show him how low her IQ is. And I'm going to tell you, as being a black man, has always been in trouble with a black woman. You do not want a black woman on you, boy.
So tell me if I'm mistaken, though, Sean. My taxes that I've been paying for all of my work in life, you trying to tell me the IRS or the government can't look at the taxes that I pay whenever they feel like it? That's how they know how to audit. That's where they decide to audit people.
IRS can.
So what is the big? So the federal government, the heads of government, the executive branch, legislative branch, whoever,
no, they can't.
Whoever will be responsible for whoever is trying to force this man to show his taxes. You trying to tell me that with all of the confusion, with all of the confusion that of obviously everybody knows that him and his father before him and generations of his family has been getting away with tax evasion. You trying to tell me they can't? There's no way that they can look at these records.
They can look at it, okay, but they have to subpoena it, and that's what Maxine Waters says she's going to do.
Okay.
But see, you have to remember, you had one-party rule. Devin Nunes and them and the rest of the Republicans are complicit to Donald Trump to get their agenda.
So what about the IRS? If it's so much speculation about him evading taxes, or if his taxes are such a topic of discussion,
you don't even have to search it to see that he crooked. I mean,
why hasn't the IRS performed an audit on him then?
Okay,
in the last year and a half alone?
Wait a minute, they are auditing him, but you have to look at this also, Tone. He's the man sitting on the high chair of anarchy, okay? Yeah. He's running these departments. See, this is the this is the problem what everybody don't understand.
So they're not auditing him because he's pulling the strings.
He's the boss.
So they can't audit him. Okay.
See, you say the Justice Department is supposed to be independent.
Right.
He fired 3. Well, he fired 4 or 5 people from the Justice Department. He done fired the FBI head all because they investigate him. He's getting ready. He done put a guy in there now that said, I ain't accusing myself, and I'm going to take control of this investigation. But there's a difference here now. Remember last week you asked me what can we do? We was talking about voting. You said what difference it's going to make? We got people in all.
I didn't say that.
Well, you did. Remember, you threw that up. You said it ain't gonna change nothing. It ain't gonna change nothing. I'm gonna have to pull up the thing. But you
come
look,
on, don't paraphrase me. You gotta say exactly what I said.
But you look at this. Elijah, there's people in power. See, the difference is, me and you got the same power now. Me and you are equal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's nothing you can do to me. Maxine Waters, that's her civic responsibility.
Right.
She's going. You can't come down and throw me out of office. You can't bring your people to vote me out of office. I got my people put me here. I'm safe. I'm secure. She's going to get his taxes. She's going to bring it. She's going to bring hell down on top of him. You're going to see a difference. I told you, Nancy Pelosi is a woman who has power, who knows how to use the power. She's not going to play Donald Trump's game no more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for the first time. He got somebody that's going to check him. And he's going to get checked where these white males who's supposed to be rich and powerful was scared to check him because he was rich and powerful. Where this woman doesn't care about this. And you're going to even see it more with Maxine Waters, okay? She's not going to allow them to come into her committee and tell them to boo off and all that. Like Lewinsky and all them did.
You know what that just made me think of when you said how the other white men who are as rich and powerful as well, how they were scared of him. Did you see the interview with what's the little puppet? The guy with the dog. The guy has the dog puppet on his hand.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay.
And he was talking to Ted Cruz before the election, and Ted Cruz was trying to jab back at the dog, the insult dog. I forget his name, but anyway, Ted Cruz was trying to jab back at him, like making I'm for spade and neutering, like trying to talk about the dog. And the dog said, hey, yeah, I'm for spade and neutering too, the same way Trump did you.
Right, because when you look at this is the problem I have. Trump attacked a woman. He came after everybody. He's so nasty, what he did to the reporters, to change the story of the Republicans getting sliced and handed to them. The Senate was safe because it was in gerrymandered districts. And remember, we called that, and I told everybody, I didn't even think they was going to take the House because the way the districts was gerrymandered and where they was at down south and going around. But suburban women came out, and that's something that everybody has to know. Not white women, okay, because white women has always voted for the white mans and their husbands and them, and never have won against them, okay? And you look at the women right now that talking about the black woman in Georgia can't keep the governor's mansion up and all that other stuff. So when they talking like that, you can expect that, okay? The hate mail that I get from white women and everything. So I can understand it. But suburban educated women, and they're white, Puerto Rican, Chinese, and all the way around of all races and stuff. So when they say white women, you have to get it separated from the white women. So, and the suburban women took them and took all those people. You look at all those people who braced Trump or ran away from Trump. The Me Too movement took them down. And it was in gerrymandered district. 2020, you got over 200 House seats up, and they're not in gerrymandered district. Okay, that may be when I keep telling everybody 2020. When Trump comes on the ballot in 2020, and everybody keep asking why the polls are bad. The polls are bad because 47% of Americans didn't vote last cycle. Okay, so they didn't have their say so. Now they're coming back into the fold. Plus, you got the millennials, because look at all the millennials that voted, and the Parkland students that voted, and came up into that area. And in 2 years, you're going to have double that. Okay?
Like I said, progress, like Maria said, slow progress is better than no progress. So, yeah, it should keep getting better and better with time. Me personally, that's the politician's job, for them to plan and strategize and prepare for 2 years from now. I got my own life to live.
Well, you ain't got to worry about it, right? Because
wait a minute.
2 years from now, right now. Sister Maxine Waters is getting ready to take up everybody's fight for them. And we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be playing the cuts on it. We're going to be showing it all 32 cities. Hey, right there, we got New York in the house and Chicago. In Chicago, I wanted to come right to you because you know what? Miss Summers is going to tell us about their book, and we're going to, and her and Tony Stone, going to discuss a little bit about opiates and some stuff right there when we come back from our commercial. But I want to go right here because Saxman was supposed to be here to talk about this Chicago, and since he left you hanging, I'm going to have to try to take it up for him. Laquan McDonald, the officer that shot Laquan McDonald was convicted, and the special prosecutor wanted to prosecute 3 police officers for the cover-up. The Laquan McDonald cover-up case of 3 Chicago police officers will go on trial per the judge. It was the conspiracy to cover up the murder of Laquan McDonald by 3 Chicago police officers, and they're accused of lying, tampering with video evidence, and changing reports up.
So the officer responsible for the shooting has already been convicted.
Yeah, he's been convicted. They're going.
So they just have to have their due process, even though all these facts probably came out in the trial, the lying and the cover up.
No, but to take that back, let me say this to you, because when I was on Podcast Nation, actually the review board, the police Chicago has a police review panel that actually has 25 investigators. They went out and put the charges up on them.
Are these independent, like?
Yeah, they're independent of the police department. Yeah. And they have a thing in Chicago that we talked about that the activists need to start thinking about here is that once a police officer goes under investigation, they remove his badge and license, okay? So he can't leave Chicago and go to a suburb department, okay? And then secondly, on that issue right there, coming out of Illinois again, 2 police officers was indicted for beating up a handcuffed prisoner. And this is something that everybody has to understand right here is that police officers now are being charged and being convicted. They're not playing with it. And when you go back here, this is the thing that Saxman was supposed to come back up with. So I'm going to hit this because I know that the activists here in East Cleveland, and I want to say this, Tone, because you're going to be on that panel with them. So you have to read what's going on, especially when somebody give you something. You know me, I tell everybody on the show, do your homework, do your research. Don't come on air and say it if you haven't done that. Allegedly, and I always say alleged because FCC rules require us to say alleged. That way we won't get a lawsuit.
Unless you know for a fact.
Unless you know for a fact. But the activist from the NAACP, but I found out that he was working with Chasing Justice and not the NAACP, put up a letter about a policeman, Marche, who was arrested in Bracknell, drunk. The video, I know everybody's seen the video. He was drunk. He had a machine gun and all that. And the Bracknell Police Department let him plead to driving under driving under the influence of alcohol, but didn't change him, charge him with the gun charge. Well, when you go back to the cases, other officers, like the officer in Cleveland that just lost his job and is going to jail for driving drunk and having his service weapon, well, the State Highway Patrol charged him with the felony for having a gun while he was drunk. Weapon on disability. Well, Bracknell didn't. So they put a letter out stating about training. You know, Ms. Crenshaw was on the professional training thing. She was on the show about that. And in the letter that they put out, they wouldn't found a letter on Officer Marche that they got from the public record request. And it says that he didn't have some training, but he had to take the training course, okay? And nobody read the letter. Nobody read the letter, okay? And they put it out that the governor-elect, Mike DeWine, ordered him off of the streets because he didn't have his training, and that any arrest or tickets he wrote was invalid and illegal under the Ohio Administrative Code. Okay, so they sent us the letter. Saxman got the letter. They sent it to me. I forwarded it on to the law department. I wasn't thinking about it. But then I get a call. Did you read the letter? And I'm saying, no, I'm saying I get the call. Did you read the letter? Because we was going to bring him on the show. We was going to talk about it because this is the first time that a government official has said they didn't have training, and it goes back to what we talked about before, because remember I told you that a serial killer may walk the streets of Cleveland again because there you go. Okay. Thank you, Siri.
She always listening.
Yeah, she always listening. And you know what? I didn't even know that it'd kick off on voice thing. I didn't see that. So a serial killer has his case may be reviewed because some of the people they said didn't have training got warrants and searched them. We went over all that. But here's the letter right here. I want you to read the letter so you can see, understand it. Then let Miss Summers read it while I'm talking about it. They put the letter out, so everybody's all over social media jumping on the letter, and they going down the big thing. So somebody hit me up and say, yeah, you know, STMK Radio 100, you can do this. You don't do the story about this or whatever. So actually one of the activists in the meeting came up to me and asked me about the story. And I asked them, did you read the letter? Because they asked me, did I read the letter? And once I said, no, I didn't read the letter, you know, I just forwarded it to the law department, and they explained to me what the letter was. I had to go get the letter and read it.
Right.
So I read the letter. So I'm telling the activists, did anybody bother to read the letter? Well, they read the letter, but they're going to try to interpret the letter in their own way. And right there, Tony, where you see where, go down where it says that if this training, let me see if I can remember. If this training wasn't done by a certain date, they tell him the penalties. You see where it's highlighted at?
Yeah.
And it says, read that section for me right there.
So it says, before the officer can perform the function.
But go back before there, what it says.
If any such date passes or has already passed, those courses must be completed immediately. Before the officer can perform the functions of a peace officer or carry a weapon in the course of duty, and such cease function status remains in effect until the officer has received the documentation from the executive director attesting to the satisfactory completion of the training.
Okay, now go up to the date where it says the date the training has to be due by.
December 31st.
That hasn't even came yet.
Right.
Okay, so he got the letter in February.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what they telling him is that you need this training course, and you got to have this training course before December 31st, 2018.
Right.
Which actually means you got until 12 o'clock midnight or whatever day it is to do this training.
Right.
They're coming back saying that the governor, the governor-elect has told him that you have to get off the street, and they took all the sentences out of it and went straight to the part that they wanted to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that was the biggest issue when we was talking about them, especially when I was on the committee that you're going to, Tone. And I'm so glad you're going there because you know what, you can do a little bit better job than me. I'm telling them, words have meanings and letters have meanings, okay? So the letter is telling him one thing. You cannot supplement what the letter is telling him to meet your what you want to put out there.
To meet your needs.
And when you do that, there again, it takes away from what you're trying to tell everybody. And so we went round and around on that. And I want to say this for the city of East Cleveland. The state has said that all the officers, and this is a problem right here, all the officers are properly trained and certified. Those are the people that's doing the training. So if you're going to say they're not certified or trained and you're going to challenge the state, you're going to have to take them to court. You're going to have to get a lawyer, spend the money, take them to court. That's number one. Number two, if you feel this bad about your police department, you got the petition for them to be disbanded, and you put it on the ballot. Take it to the people. Let the people see what's happening. Let the people speak. Stop going to social media, because when you put something out as a organization and you don't read the letter, and then you argue with people over Facebook, this is why police officers do not fear activists, okay? Because for 40 years, and we talk about this a lot, Tone, we have made them millionaires. We made their pension so fat, okay? The same people we call baby killers, they're getting $200,000 and $300,000 payouts coming back into your community with immunity, because guess what? Now people are scared to say anything to them on the job okay? Because they scared that they're going to get a lawsuit, okay? And remember, I told you, you got to have your elected officials and hold them accountable. But we got to go about for a minute. We're going to have to pay some bills. We got Angie P. in the blue room. And then when we come back, we're going to hear about this book and see where it's at. So we're going to go out here and pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions has submitted his resignation in a letter to President Trump. The president mentioned it in a tweet just minutes ago. The president says Sessions' chief of staff, Matthew Whitaker, will become acting attorney general. The president has long been upset with Sessions over his recusal from Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. President Trump's review of the midterm.
The Republican Party defied history.
Democrats gained control of the House. Republicans held on to control of the Senate. The AP's Sagar Magani is at the White House.
Despite Republicans losing the House majority, the president says yesterday was very close to complete victory and gave himself much of the credit.
I think people like me.
Saying his campaigning helped many winning candidates. And those who didn't want his help, like Utah Congresswoman Mia Love.
And she lost. Too bad.
In a combative, nearly 90-minute news conference that was partly victory lap, partly grievance airing, the president suggested there will be more bipartisanship with split control of Congress, but he also warned House Republicans against investigating him.
They can play that game, but we can play it better.
Suggesting dueling investigations would cause gridlock, and he'd blame Democrats. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says Democrats will strive for bipartisanship.
The American people want to put an end to unchecked GOP control of Washington, restoring again the checks and balances envisioned by our founders. That's a responsibility we have when we take that oath.
Pelosi says she hopes to have the votes to be the next speaker. There were some words back and forth between President Trump and CNN's Jim Acosta.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this event?
In Montana, Democrat John Tester has won re-election to the Senate. This is AP Radio News. Democrats have a majority in the state of New York.
Well, I'm not a big fan.
New York Democrats won a majority in the state Senate for the first time in a decade and by a lot. They needed to flip one Republican seat to take control. They got 5 and won 3 open seats. A raft of liberal proposals has made it through the state assembly over the years, only to founder in the Senate. Now the prospects for new gun restrictions, bail reform, writing Roe v. Wade into state law, and universal health care await a legislature and governor that, despite a 2-to-1 statewide majority in registrations, have been all controlled by Democrats in only 3 years since World War II. Warren Levinson, New York.
And repeating our top story, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has submitted his resignation. A letter was sent to President Trump, and the president mentioned it in a tweet sent out from the White House. President Trump says Sessions' chief of staff, Matthew Whitaker, will become the acting Attorney General. I'm Ed Donahue, AP Radio News.
STMK Radio 100.
This is Kathy Hawthorne from sunny California, and I listen to STMK Radio 100. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on Facebook Live.
Tell you something, we got to stop the violence, we got to vote. Stop the violence and vote.
And now back to John with the weather.
Yes, Andy. Tonight, a big storm.
Storm this! Get the soccer offer from Pizza Hut and Pepsi. With every 2 medium pan Super Supreme, you get a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free. Yes, a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free. Yes, Pepsi the soccer ball. Don't miss the Pizza Hut and Pepsi soccer offer. With every 2 medium pan Super Supreme, you get a real soccer ball and 4 cans of Pepsi for free.
What about the weather, Eddie?
Don't resist and call 19,000 now.
STMK Radio 100, the podcasting station that brings you the Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 radio talk show that keeps it real, no sugar. STMK Radio 100 also presents At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller Show. Check out Brother Bill's Bible Study radio broadcast here on STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central. STMK Radio 100 does USTREAM Live TV, FaceTime, phone interviews, chat rooms, the new emerging artist show, sports talk, dance music shows, book reading shows, and much more coming very soon right here on STMK Radio 100. Contact us. Visit our website at stmkradio100.com or email us directly at stmkradio100@aol.com. Give us a call at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Call us now. STMK Radio 100.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100. Stop the madness.
If you're like most Christians, there are people in your life who know you but may not know Jesus. You really want to do something about that, but don't feel equipped to share your faith effectively. In other words, maybe if you knew more, you could do more. Well, that's where the Tony Evans Training Center comes in. It's an online Bible school with classes that'll take you deep into the most important core concepts of the faith. You can start with our free introductory course on evangelism, then move on to subjects like spiritual warfare, marriage building, maturing in the faith, and many more. The content is challenging, but you can move through it at your own pace anytime you're online. There's also lots of custom content from Tony and an online forum where you can get your specific questions answered. Go to TonyEvansTraining.org and start your free intro course today. The Tony Evans Training Center, where you can explore the kingdom anytime, anywhere.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app, Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness. Keep it 100.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, Keeping It 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
Hey, welcome back to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on Free For All Thursday. We got our boy, Tony Stone, is in the house with us. J Mac is in studio and Miss Summers. So right here, everybody has to understand that we were amiss when we started talking about what's happening right here in uh, California. They shot up a bar there. 13 people was killed in a mass shooting, including the sheriff deputy at a bar. And there was people running and jumping out of the windows. So you have to ask yourself, what is going on at this time? And I was going virtual right there, so I don't know if y'all heard me due to the storm coming past our satellite. So you asked this right here in Thousand Oaks. We want to send our condolences because we continue to have these mass shootings and nobody is doing anything about it. And it's very sad for the 11 people that was killed. And the sheriff deputy, my heart goes out to his family because he was getting ready to retire next week and go and live his life after doing his service. And it's just so sad. And Tone, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what there is to say. It's just another one of those unfortunate tragedies that we on the first half of the show we were talking about being optimistic and the progress, the steady progress that we're making. This is one of the areas where we don't seem to be making any progress because according to USA Today, this is the 307th mass shooting in this year alone, and we're on day 311 out of 365. So that's almost a shooting a day. With all this bickering going back and forth in politics and all this stuff, people are talking about. These are the issues that affect everybody first and foremost. But for somebody like the shooter in this situation, I don't know him personally, and I don't know what sparked it, what caused it. What they said, he was probably suffering from PTSD. He had a history of domestic disturbances. So obviously something was troubling him. Maybe it's, his experience in military, being a gunner for the Marines, and who knows, maybe his experience growing in this country, coming back and having a hard time adapting or whatever it is. But these are like the deepest issues that need to be addressed.
Well, we have hundreds of veterans.
Yeah.
That are trained killers that cannot cope with coming back into society, and we just throwing them out there.
Right.
And there's probably some signs, and I hate to say this, but there's probably some red flags that was there that nobody addressed. And you have to look at the suicide rates for our veterans. Yep. You have to look at how our veterans are being treated, the homeless rate, and you have to understand these gentlemen went over and fought, and they was used to being taken care of. And they did certain things, and now you're going to bring them back into society and say there's rules and you can't do that. You just can't do that. But Ms. Summers, we brought you into the studio not to hear us talk, so tell us what you think about it.
Honestly, like I said, it's really sad what we were talking about before. I agree. I feel like it's a possibility he did suffer from PTSD, and I think it's sad that no one ever talks about that. Like, nobody ever really helps them. It's like they just brush it off.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about it, but that's all they do. That's another problem with our society. Everybody's got an opinion.
But
everybody's got something to say about something, but nobody's really doing anything. Nobody's taking any good measurable action. This changing things. Especially situations like this. Nobody's doing. I'm talking about politicians and no, I'm talking about everybody, even down to our level. People talk.
Nobody wants to deal with it if it's not affecting them directly. They don't feel like, oh, well, this is not affecting me directly, so I don't need to help. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. But hindsight being 2020, these people are the reason why you're able to sit at home and watch TV and not do anything. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Well, in that sense, it affects everybody. Whether somebody personally who has been the victim of one of these tragedies or responsible for one of these tragedies, or you just know a veteran who served. And quite frankly, me being a veteran, it's not only just about veterans. It's people suffering from PTSD that's growing up in these rough areas right here in our society, to experience violence and drama and trauma every day. And, while, certain people are folk are just concerned about
themselves.
being rich and getting richer and richer, they could be doing a lot more to help alleviate some of this stress and this depression and this drama that we face
the
daily.
fact that they could and they won't, I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about we talk about the opioid crisis going on a lot, going on nowadays. We talk about that a lot here on this show, and like that's just another symptom of the consequences of these greedy people with power. How they don't consider the stress and the struggle that people face daily. People turn to these opiates. I mean, in a lot of cases they might get on them for some sickness or a real physical injury. That's how they get into the drugs, and then they end up
It's an addiction.
becoming addicted
it's
to
a
it.
gateway into something else, and it's unfortunate because it's like with the recent tragedy in my family, you got this kid, I don't know how he got a hold of drugs or whatever, what have you, but they said that he's been addicted to drugs since he was 15. You're
Right.
19 years old now. It's like, how does a 15-year-old get addicted to opiates? And it's like, are your parents, giving you this, okay, yeah, you hurt yourself this time, and it's like they're just brushing it off. They're ignoring you, saying you have a problem, I have this, I have that. And it's like, to be addicted to something, any addiction, not saying that I've ever been on one, but I would imagine that that's a hard thing to shake.
Right. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, the reasons why somebody get addicted could be anything. It could be a sports injury or an accident or something, and they do it to cope with the pain. It could be just stress and depression. They use it to cope with that.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. And, when they get addicted, that's all that matters, especially for somebody that young. Once they're addicted, they're addicted. There is no how, why. They need to help. Somebody needs to help them to nip this in the bud before it turns into a 4 or 5 year habit where the person, even if you're addicted to some drugs for 4 years, 5 years, which is a long time, at 19 years old, you're still young and you still got
a party. And
you still got a lot. You still got a lot to learn about control.
What do you do when that person? You have their. I hate to say it, but Black people, we don't have as much access to things such as rehabilitation and money and things like that. And then it's like you have these kids, these white kids who have access to that, and it's like they go and they come right out after 30 days, or they relapse after 50 days, or mommy and daddy been wiping your hands clean, fixing this for you. And it's like, I think it's a double-edged sword, because it's like being the parent of a kid that is addicted, what do you do in that situation? I don't think that there's a handbook that says, okay, this is how you handle this. I would think that those parents become tired. You become tired.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially if you can't control somebody. I've heard plenty of parents say that, and my personal opinion is that it doesn't really matter about being Black or white. I've heard plenty of Black parents say that they're washing their hands. They've tried their best with their kids. When your kids are out of control, they're running wild, or they have a problem that that only they can finally stand up and address and be responsible for. You can't do it. In that situation, yeah, like that's. I don't want to say hopeless cause, but all the help in the world, all the resources in the world, might not mean a thing. It's up to that person to make the decision to do what they got to do. For everybody else though, like you said, they need access to those resources. They need that support system. They need that help. Everybody should have that. Everybody should be able to get that. So that the ones who really want to do something and kick their habit and
they have
fix
access
themselves,
to do it.
it's a possibility. I don't want to go on too long talking about all the drama and the negativity in our world, especially when I just said I'm optimistic. So being the optimist that I am, young lady, you on here before telling us that you got a book coming out soon, in progress. We haven't had an update from you since then about the book, so let's let the people know, what has happened with the book since then, when they can expect it to be available for them to buy so they can read it, so they can hit us in the chat room, so they can call us, or maybe they can hit you personally on your social media. Be like, damn, you know, your book was crazy. This part right here, this section right here really stood out to me. So first, my most urgent question is, am I going to be in the book?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Well, you said you weren't gonna tell nobody.
In a way, but I'm not telling nobody.
You said you weren't gonna tell nobody.
Be in what, and nobody's gonna know any names.
If you referring to me or you referencing me as a character, I'm a no though. You said the people who
the
you
people
told
that
about
are
would know.
in my book will know that I am talking about them.
Okay. Okay.
They will know who's who. I may use some kind of quote to refer to that person. They know who they are.
Okay. No, so get the people, you know, who might not have been listening last time, or who, you know, since it's been a long time since we had an update, give them a reminder of what the book is going to be about. Start there, you know, tell them like what to look forward to.
So in the book, you can look forward to pretty much everything that I guess millennials deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether it be dating, for the most part dating, because it just seems like dating is just so much harder than it used to be. Now, I don't know about you, but it just seems like that. Like, I had a dude ask me what's my Snapchat name instead of my phone number.
Yeah, that's
what is that?
Yeah, I haven't quite got on that bandwagon either. Like, you know,
I don't have one. But it's mainly just about that, going through regular, family struggles, family drama. It's going to be a little bit of everything, something that everybody can relate to.
Any particular point that when people pick this book up, whether they go buy it in the stores or they buy it online or they get the audio copy, whatever, is there, when they're done reading this book, what do you want them to take home, or what do you want them to take to heart? What do you want them to have learned or gained from?
Well, I think that
reading?
There's a lot of points that you can learn from in the book. I think that that's all subjective. Like, that depends on the person. Like, everybody perceives things differently.
Right.
But me personally, my message is, you can pretty much overcome anything. Like, I've gone through a lot. For me to only, I'll be 30 in March, and it's just like, I got all of these people asking me all these questions, and it's like, I deal with a lot. Like, I've had people say, oh, you're 30, why aren't you married? Or I've had that question, and then, oh, where are your kids? Or are you just going to be this person that's focusing on your career? Like, what's happening? So it's like, I feel like everything is subjective, and you kind of have to deal with things as they come at you, and kind of just to try to remain optimistic through everything.
So you say that you want people to come away knowing that they can overcome any struggle, but you also say that we can look forward to some wild, crazy stories. Is this going to be safe for children to read? Is this going to be,
I wouldn't say that.
Like, I mean, I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about teenagers. Is this? Because those are probably the ones who need to learn these lessons the most. The sooner you can learn them, the better in life. That's my philosophy.
More like, well, I don't know. I mean, when I was like 16 or 17, the most popular book that was out, I probably shouldn't have been reading it. It was The Coldest Winter Ever. Everybody know about that book.
Yeah.
The Sister
Soldier.
book.
Yeah.
I was reading that at like 16.
See, I mean, I wouldn't even consider that. I wouldn't even consider that bad for teenagers to read. Me personally,
really?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that because I don't know how your experience growing up, but teenagers, in my experience growing up, they were doing all of that stuff in the book already anyway.
So,
right.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on the parent too. Like, some kids have the parents.
I don't care how good you raise your kid. When you're
not
around, they're the complete opposite. They are just as bad and wild and crazy as you can possibly imagine. You think never your baby? No, your baby is that.
If somebody asked me if I had a kid, would I let my kid read my book? Maybe when they turn 17.
See, but 17, you on the precipice of being in the dark.
But then again, I'm not a parent yet, so you never really know. Like I said, there's no like guide or handbook that says, oh, don't do this, because I may be a little bit more free spirited and be like, all right, you got to know this, and this, so you can avoid this, and this.
If it's real, and I know it's
definitely real.
Influenced by your reality and your experience. I'm saying the message you're trying to get across is real and it's good for people to learn, to know. Like, it's not going to hurt nobody. It's not going to lead nobody in the right direction. It should be required high school reading material then. Ninth grade. From the summer vacation between 8th and 9th grade should be on the reading list.
No, this should not be on the summer reading list. Unless it's your own personal summer reading list. But I mean, it's bad then. It's a good, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's a good time. It's a good book. I mean, I go through a lot of things. I go through things from, like, you know, dealing with death in the family, dealing with issues, you know, mommy, daddy issues, parental issues. I go through a lot, and I think that everybody goes through that. And if they don't, they should definitely be knowledgeable about things like that. Dating, what to avoid when dating, you know, it's trying to get back out there, just crazy stuff. It's just life.
So the parts that are like evil and mean and flat out wrong, are you the responsible party, or is it going to be somebody who we won't be able to identify, but they'll know when they read it?
Oh, wait a minute, Tone. Let me ask this question: Do you what was the singer's name, the country singer name? She took a baseball bat to the guy's truck.
Bradshaw.
Carrie Underwood. When he cheats, you got some of that stuff in there?
No, I've never been that type of girl, but I do know people that are like that. It's not nothing like that. I mean, you may hear about other people doing that and me being accused, but I wasn't, you know.
But you got any of those scenes in the book?
You and your have you and your sisters ever went and jumped on the dude and put him in the hospital?
No. We don't even get down like that. It ain't. It's more like a mind thing, you know. Mess with the mind.
Yeah. I can
I
believe
bet
that.
you can concur about
I can
that
believe
one.
that. The manipulation.
The manipulation.
Okay. So where you at with it now?
So I'm on track to be done by summer 19.
I'm
not gonna say early summer. I'm gonna say like midsummer. I'm shooting midsummer, end of summer. You know how holidays.
That's a long wait. That's a long wait. Like, people are already in anticipation.
I mean, anticipation builds excitement, and then when you get it, you're like, oh my God, it's like Christmas.
It does. So you're saying you're projecting a release date around summer 19.
That's just a goal. It could be done before then, but that's just a goal.
Okay. You already planning book signings and any type of press publicity, tours, you know, anything?
Well, no, but things tend to fall in my lap, and I'm thankful for that. Like, you know, crazier things have happened. I've had hotels contact me about other things, about what I do. I do hair too, and you know, really, really uppity hotels, and you know, things just fall in my lap. And when it happens, I'm sure it's just gonna take off just like that. Because
these uppity hotels, like, so are any of like these hotel managers or owners, or any of them gonna be in the story doing some scandalous stuff that they wouldn't want nobody else in the public to know?
Okay, this is not scandal.
According to who?
According to me.
Hey, it ain't like Vegas just elected the guy that had the brothels that died. What's his name?
The Bunny
Dennis.
Ranch?
Yeah, Dennis Ranch. You know, he had all them hotels. He was inviting everybody over.
They just elected him?
Yeah.
To what?
To their state legislature.
Wow.
And he did. Remember, they say Eddie Murphy did a movie like that. Remember when he ran?
I missed that. That was just this year, or
just this last election?
This past Tuesday.
This past Tuesday.
Crazy.
Oh no. That wasn't who I read that died right after the election. So he got elected and then died?
No, he died before the election.
Oh, and he still got elected.
And they still elected him.
I missed that. I didn't even see that in the news cycle.
That's nuts.
Well, I mean, that's, you know.
No, it ain't gonna be nothing like that.
To his
but
legacy,
it is more so like, it's some crazier things that have happened. Like, I've had some recent things happen where I'm like, oh, I gotta put this in the book.
Okay.
Like, this is crazy.
Put it in the book. Give us a sample. Give us a snippet of a story. Like, you don't even got to give us the whole story. Just give us a scenario that's going to be in the book. One of these crazy stories or experiences that, you know, you're putting out there to you know, show people the wild ride you've been on through your life, or to
my friends to
set an example for some people who, you want to keep from having to take that same wild. Some of these young girls you want to keep from having to take that same wild ride.
Why you gotta say it wild? Like I'm just out here.
You said wild and crazy.
I'm not gonna say wild and crazy. I'm gonna say some things. This is something very serious. I'm gonna talk about this situation. So there's a person I know that they dated this guy. So-called dated this guy. They met this person. I think she said off the internet or something. Met this person off the internet. Apps are like the thing now. Tinder, and
right?
Bumble, and all of that craziness. So she met this guy, and the guy, she said the guy was real good looking, all that good stuff, and he tried to date rape her. Like real life crazy stuff. Like
that's my thing. That's almost how I feel like what to expect if you gonna meet somebody off of social media or something and meet them or go out and meet a complete stranger in that sense. What else? I mean, I don't know what else to.
Well, yeah. At that point, what do you expect? Because it's like I think that's all. It's all subjective too. It's all about how trusting you are and how optimistic you are. I guess if you go into things narcissistically thinking like, oh, they gonna try to get me.
I don't believe nobody is who they say they are in the first place. So I know on the internet profile they're painting the very best picture, and if they're sinister, since we talk about politicians a lot, wolves in sheep's clothing is how I like to think of politicians. That's what these people are on these social media sites, these dating sites.
You have no idea. Like, it's just crazy. Everybody, when she told me this, I was just like, what? And she was like, yeah, and he didn't even have to do all of that. But, I mean, thankfully she made it out, but I was just like,
but you putting your life on the line when you go into a hotel room and get undressed with a nut that you don't know.
With a straight stranger.
Well, I didn't say she went into a hotel
room.
You go on a date with somebody.
He ain't going to try to date rape you.
She put herself in a predicament where it was just the two of them.
My daddy told me don't ever put your drink down. Right. Don't ever do nothing. If you're going to meet somebody, don't put your drink down and don't do nothing.
That's correct.
But it's like nowadays, people is getting you not even through just like your drinks. They putting it in your food and all that. You got to be careful.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so the bottom line is that she didn't know this person from, somebody who followed her getting off the bus and just followed her home like that. So, yeah, she should have never have given this guy the slightest chance to put anything in her drink or her food or anything like. So I mean that was she wasn't on her
A game.
She wasn't on her P's and Q's. So back to this book. That don't even sound like it's about you, Maria.
It's not.
So tell the people something about you that they can like. Something to look forward to. Like you already tell them they gotta wait almost a year. Tell them that you gotta.
That is not almost a year. That's like
6 months.
6 months.
Tell them, plant a seed in their head right now to keep them waiting, itching, anxiously waiting the release of this book.
I could say so much. You're gonna make me have to pull it up.
You want to read an excerpt of something that's already written?
Oh, you gonna give us a taste of your work?
Oh, don't.
Oh, we gonna get a piece of the stew. Hey, we get ready to get in the stew, y'all.
Get the listeners of Stop the Madness 100 something to keep them to stop them from going mad until this book come out.
What's that Wendy Williams always say? You're gonna give us a taste of your stew.
So what's the tea?
A taste of the stew.
Yeah, some tea. Hey, we get ready to get some tea. All right.
Let me see if I can find it. I emailed it to myself.
Yeah, give us some of that tea. Let us get the 411 on it.
When this book come out, is Wendy Williams gonna have you on for
an
interview?
No, I would hope not.
Well, let me ask you this question.
She might.
Can they make a movie out of the book? I mean, is it going to be one of those good, exciting?
Yeah, you probably could, because you'd be like, what is wrong with
like Whittles? Well, no, let's see.
What is wrong with you?
What's wrong with this girl? What's wrong with her friends? What do she be into? Why?
Wait a minute, are you going to make a claim on the front of the book that the names were changed to protect the innocent?
I have to, because I feel like, if I don't, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't need anybody.
See, I feel like, though, with everybody listening, everybody know that the book coming out. Now, you done already said that, basically, these are your personal stories. These are your personal reflections. Even though you're not naming anybody in particular, you know, people going to be able to, people close to you going to be able to put two and two together, even though people close to you probably know already. But somebody like such as myself, you know, I might read it and get to decipher and stuff like, okay, this sound like, what's the name of such and such, you know, and, you know,
What's the name
people,
of such and such?
people are going to be able, people going to be, see, you done let the cat out the bag already, so it's too late. The people,
It ain't too late.
the people who you going to be talking about in this book, it's going to be, it's going to be like, what was the girl named? Corinne Steffens, who wrote the book about all the rappers and all the people telling their sexual exploits. It's going to be like this, and everybody gonna know who you talking about, because you done already let us know that it was your personal experiences.
But not really, Tone, because you know why? To know who she's talking about,
You gotta know me.
now you got, no, I'm talking about the person. You got to realize, did I tell her this? Or you got to be actually looking back and say, well, that's me.
Well, she already said the people who she talking about gonna know that
I mean,
there's them.
they gonna know,
But I'm talking about like for
people
somebody,
forget things.
not even her closest people, because she probably tell them everything anyway.
Right.
I'm talking about her coworkers or people that are close to her, but not in her immediate circle.
Well,
They might be able to put two and two together.
She gonna have to get something away for them to say, oh, that's Tony she talking about.
Yeah, and now they gonna be one to be like, okay, now I gotta read this because I know her well enough. I done been around. I done hung out with her a few times. I done seen her.
You got that tea?
I'll be able to know. I'll be able to tell who this is.
Well, wait a minute. Before you give us the tea, put a little brandy in it.
So I mean, this is the intro. I guess I'm gonna give you a little bit of the intro. I'm not gonna give you anything else. I'll give you the intro. I will say this. This is. I curse. I'm a cursor. So.
Oh, that's fine.
That's fine. Go ahead.
I write like how I talk.
Hey, we are on internet radio. You can say whatever you want.
This is the hook too. Like the intro is what
I'm not even gonna give you the first three paragraphs.
It's like wrapping
my
a cane
intro,
around their neck and yanking them in.
My intro is like, I guess you could say it's like 5 pages.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You mean
ahead.
So I give you a little bit. Oh man. All right. See, love is a lot like giving someone a loaded gun to point at you and hoping they don't shoot. And by shooting, I mean hoping they don't break your heart or hoping that you don't do something to fuck it up, because we're all so perfect, right? We all go through a phase of lust, and we're often confused with love or simply just living in the moment. Or maybe we're trying to hide our real feelings, but who am I to judge? Everybody has a vice. Sex, drugs, money, sometimes the acquiring of people or people's feelings. But you never know until you're looking at the barrel of a gun, or worse, experiencing things you never thought you'd experience. Have experience and having no one to share those things with, or looking for love on one of those shitty dating sites. I'm definitely not an expert on dating, nor am I an expert on being a good judge of character, or whatever the fuck that means, because people are great pretenders and we evolve. I'm simply saying that shit happens and some shit just shouldn't happen. And maybe I can help someone avoid the things I went through, or even some of the things I've heard people go through. They say love is a lot like, they say a lot of things about how many people you're allowed to fall in love with in a lifetime. Who are they anyway? I say you experience love 3 times, and once if you're lucky. If you experience it once, congratulations. You're not like the rest of us. You met your person, and you're not sifting through a cesspool of broken hearts, trust issues, egos, empty promises, daddy issues. My bad. Or am I just being too real? Sometimes because life and history has a way of repeating itself, you get a second or third swing at your person when you're ready. Timing has to be right, location has to be right, and a piece of you has to have a desire for a piece of them, and vice versa. Meaning you have to accept people for exactly who they are and where they are in life.
Okay. So, right off the top, you say you get 3 loves in a lifetime.
That's how I feel.
How many have you had so far?
You fishing.
So 3 strike you outlaw.
I feel like 3 strikes you out.
How many have you had? You didn't answer my question yet.
Man, come on.
How many?
Honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, I think that I've only ever loved one person.
Okay.
Like whole.
Okay. So, young, you still got a vast majority of your options left, in your opinion.
I mean, yeah, in my opinion.
In my opinion, I don't put a number on it, because who knows, Who knows? Who knows?
I feel like we love people in different ways.
I heard something. It might have just been yesterday. It might have been this morning. Somebody say that you get one real love. That's the first person you fall in love with, because that then is the experience is brand new. It's fresh. You know, you don't have like everybody after that. You're it's
I
all
feel like
coordinated
we
and
compare.
yeah, and,
like when you go into something, if you've never been in love before, you go into it with an open mind because you're not tainted. You're not like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna avoid this
Right.
and I'm gonna do this.
Right.
But then again, if you gotta go through all that, is that really love anyway?
But
exactly.
But can you ever once you can never get that true
You would
feeling
never
back,
get that feeling back.
because once you get hurt, you can never feel the same.
Nope.
Right.
That's like a high. It's like a high that you're gonna keep trying to chase, and then you run into crazy people.
That's why you only had one, because you still chasing your first.
No.
You chasing that one. You better take advantage of your 3. Don't sell yourself short.
You know, people in the chat room did tell them the name of that book again.
No. I feel like I'm kind of like I'm on the fence about the name.
Okay, well, just tell us the name that you said.
Right.
The Freak's Plight.
Okay, y'all got that.
Yeah, see, that don't sound like love at all. The Freaks Play. That sound like
That sound like that. Hey, that sound like what was that back in the 70s? You had Goldie and
That's all subjective.
you know.
That is all subjective.
What's the guy that talked real sweet that was told Pretty Tony? You know
Pimp, yeah, that was Goldie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
say
Goldie.
something like that in the beginning.
Yeah, the Mac. Yeah, the Mac.
About the man, the first man you supposed to fall in love with, my dad.
Hey.
Well, that's a different type of love.
So let me ask you this question right here, Tony. Let me jump in for a minute, because I just want to go back to my era.
Okay.
You know when Goldie told the guy, you know the rules, your woman chose me.
She choosing.
Is some of that in your book? You know, is some of the old school moves, and because you know it's hard out here for a pimp now.
In the beginning, I don't say nothing about nobody being a pimp, but I do say something.
Well,
about
you know what I
people
mean. What I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, the suave and all of that, the smoothness.
Okay, and what about the players? Anything in there about players?
Yeah, definitely.
And playettes? Don't forget the playettes. You know,
what are you talking about?
You know, there's some women that plays better than the men's do now.
No women do that.
They took the game to a whole new level.
Yeah, a whole new
These
level.
women took it to a whole new level.
And they go profitable. You know, back in the day, back in my day, you had that Go Jabor, whatever her name was.
What?
She had like 20 different rich husbands.
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah, Zsa Zsa Gabor.
I'm like go.
Hey, she had 20 different rich husbands. You know.
Really? So she would divorce one rich guy and probably marry a richer guy.
Right.
Every time she marrying richer and richer.
So let me ask you this in your book.
She had a cold
do your book say
down.
that if I'm in love with my wife, and if I cheat, does it say you got to you're supposed to wait a minute, how I'm gonna say that? You're supposed to move up, you know, I'm gonna say like
you supposed to upgrade. If you cheat?
Right.
I don't talk about that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I also feel like that's subjective. What exactly is an upgrade to that person? Like, some people are superficial, so they may be like, oh my God, her body look better than hers, or he got more money than him. But it's like, it's a lot of people that's out here that's all surface value, but you like have no substance. So like I said, I feel like that's subjective, because some people, depending on where your mind is or how old you are, I guess because unfortunately now social media is everything to people.
Yeah, that's new life.
So it's like, you know, you got these Instagram models, and it's like, oh, well, I'm dating an Instagram model, but it's like she live, you know, bruh.
But if that's what they like,
if that's what they like, that's what
like
they like.
you said, it's subjective.
But it's subjective.
But
so,
Tone,
to me, an upgrade is not surface.
They like the sex dolls now too. You know, they got these sex dolls out with everything.
Hey, that's the craziest thing about
this.
this.
About that. Remember
that's
that
the
video?
craziest thing about these relationships, whatever you want to call them. They got sex dolls that look just human, like the three of us right here.
I mean,
like,
but it's kind of, like I said, that's all subjective. I think it all is solely based on where a person's mind is at. And like right now, where my mind is at, that's how I'm writing. And where I am, I think I'm in a much more mature place.
So do you have the section, you know, when this was really hot with the girls, Miss B say if you like it, you got to put a ring on it before you can speak about it?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I feel like a lot of people, their expectations of a significant other, whether that be man or woman, I feel like people be like, well, I want my woman to do this, or I want my man to do this.
Yeah, that's
this
putting
and
a lot
this
of
and this
pressure
and
on
this.
somebody.
And then it's like, you want them to do all this wife or husband like stuff, but it's like you're not willing to reciprocate for one, and for two, I'm not married to you. So it's like you gotta give to take. It's a lot of people that want to do withdrawals, but they don't want to make any deposits.
So wait a minute. So let me ask you this: in your relationship, are there certain levels? Okay, so where I'm going is like level 1, we just kicking at the club, and that's all we gonna do. Level 2, we gonna have go out to dinner, and then they got this thing that you women started, friends with benefits, whatever that is. I remember reading that, and then you got the level of, like you just said, if I'm gonna do wifey things, you gotta wife.
You on that top tier?
Yeah.
But it's not the same for everybody, though. You know.
It's not the same because, like I said, everybody values different
but I'm
things.
just asking, in your book, do you
I do talk about that, but
those
I talk about it
those?
on a different level. I talk about it more so like everybody has their own value. Some people value their time more than they value their money. You know what I'm saying? Some people, if I personally believe that if a man can give you time, like, because I don't need your money, I got my own. But if you can give me time and show me consistency, because I done met some dudes where they just be the only thing they consistent about is being inconsistent. So it's like, if you could give me your time, that shows a lot more to me than you spending money. Because it's like, you can go get money.
Am I going to walk away from reading this book thinking that you are bashing men?
No, I'm not. No, I ain't that. I'm not that person.
Well, are we gonna, in this book? Are you gonna address, like, for me being a man, when I read a book,
you feel like it's the woman always on the woman's side?
I want to hit 3 different levels. I want to get in the first chapter. You get my mind curious. The second chapter, you take me down into the basement, and
then I'm gonna take you up and through the roof.
Right, where you know we got this going. You got my mind curious. So I'm gonna go in the basement to find out what you're talking about. And then when I get in the basement, I gotta get the hell up out of the basement because it's going crazy. And you know, you build it up.
It's most definitely a build up because, like I said, I mean, we all evolve every day. We all learn different. If you're not learning something, you dying.
So you're not to the end yet. So I know you don't.
I'm not to the end.
You don't know this question. So let me ask you this: in the middle of the book, you know where you're going in the middle. So in the end, is it going to be a catch-all where you're gonna leave us hanging, or is it gonna be Cinderella where you gonna love and live forever, or you ain't figured that out yet, huh?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, let me give you, as a,
because it's based off of real things. So like, I may be hot and cold right now and be like, all right, this is how I view this situation, and then next week I mean like.
So let me give you a word of advice as a writer myself. Like you said, like your personal story, it isn't over yet. You can't have an ending to your personal story. But for the book, you have to you already have an idea.
I
like
feel like the writer's process.
What you want to finish on.
I know how I want to finish, but I don't know if it's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna leave you hanging, and then I'm gonna maybe write something else. I don't know that yet. That's the writer's process. But right now, I'm liking where it's going, and it's more or less like, wow, this is really good. Or the people that are close to me that I have let, know a little bit more than what I let you.
Somebody in the chat room said, is this going to be one of those Lifetime books?
Hell no.
You know what they mean by like the way that woman channel?
This ain't that. This ain't that. This is
This gonna be
honestly.
This is gonna be on Oprah Winfrey Network. This gonna be one of them.
I'm probably gonna have a whole bunch of women probably hate me.
Oh really?
Wait a minute. You
hate me in the aspect of I don't really do Lifetime type of stuff.
You giving up the code?
I don't do Lifetime. I'm not the Lifetime.
She see how she be avoiding the question.
You giving up the code?
I ain't the Lifetime type of chick. It's not gonna be a Lifetime type of book. It's gonna be more so like something, like I said, something that everybody can relate to. I'm not one of them women where I'll be like, oh my God, like I'm a bash man and this man is. Nah, I hate chicks like that, to be completely
But are you gonna be one of them women that's gonna be free fall looking for Mr. Goodbar?
Nah, because I'm a realist first.
Okay.
I gotta be real. Like I have to be real. I'm just like I'll say this. And I'm gonna say what a lot of women are afraid to say.
Or are you gonna be sexually free? Or are you gonna be I mean, there's so many things to ask about where that book going, because
It's you know what I'm saying. You gotta talk about it. Like I said, I get it. I'm trying to say it without saying it. It's like
Is the overall tone of the book gonna be sexual? Like, is it?
I mean, there's some of that in there too.
Hey,
I know it's in there, but is that gonna be the overall tone of it?
Right.
Like,
or is it gonna be like my boy, the one that say is hard out here for a pimp?
I don't know his name from the movie.
I'm
What
gonna
you
say
talking
this.
about?
I'm gonna just say this. Like I
can't even think of the actor name.
There's some, you're made up of your mother and your father, and I'm gonna say that I got it honest on both sides.
Okay, but you gonna
probably more so on my dad's
you
side
gonna
than
lead
my
us
mama.
into a story, then you're gonna lead us into a character. So when I read your book, I'm gonna vision my own. I mean, like most people, when you read a book, you vision a character, who this person is. So I'm gonna be able to.
You're gonna be able to visualize a lot.
Okay.
You're gonna be like, okay, this is this,
Yeah.
and this is this person, and this is this
Well,
person.
I'm not talking about the person, but I'm just talking about
the way that it's supposed to go.
Right.
That's how it flows. Like
Right.
the first chapter is called Soul Food, and the reason why it has a reason. That's actually a
soul
person.
Food. Oh, okay.
That's somebody's name.
That's
or
somebody. That's how I refer to somebody.
Oh, okay.
in real life.
In real life.
So
okay.
Okay, what's the next chapter?
That's a dead giveaway. You gotta change the name then. Call it junk food, so to throw them off a little bit.
No, soul food is good because right now I'm visioning what she's saying is that this person has entered her inner circle. So
soul food.
Okay.
I'll give you a little
So
bit of
he's
backstory.
the inspiration for this first chapter.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Or
an inspiration
see, I didn't
for
even
a
know
lot.
it was a he, but see.
I
Well, I can vision that when she said soul food.
Soul food is
So that sounds like a dude.
See, because you have to
Soul
look at
food.
in my day, they had the movie Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Oh no,
Okay.
this ain't
that
like
was a movie?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was
yeah,
a
that
movie.
was a movie, and the person was going until she found that
Was
one.
it like one of those black exploitation era?
Right.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
She had to find the one. That's why they
Well,
called it.
this is the thing. Like I said, soul food. I refer to somebody as soul food. I refer to somebody as I ain't even fucking get it.
No, go ahead and tell us.
Tell us about chapter
Don't leave
2.
us. Yeah, don't leave
Soul
us. hanging.
food. So okay, chapter 1. Soul
I mean,
food.
the intro itself, the full intro. If I read to you from the beginning, that will pull you in enough.
Okay, but I'm just saying, what's chapter 2? Are you? Can we
I
don't tell us?
didn't name chapter 2 yet, but soul food is going.
Is chapter 2 finished?
I'm pretty like far. So there,
Okay.
I'm like way
Right.
past like 5 chapters.
Okay, so what's the theme of chapter 2? Since you don't have a title for it yet, what's
The theme of chapter 2 is basically, I guess you could say, dating after being not divorced, if that makes any sense.
trying to start over after?
Trying to start over.
Okay,
Right,
okay,
a new beginning.
A new beginning.
Okay.
Well, we
You
all
go
had
through
that
some
problem.
goofy stuff.
Okay.
You go through some
Because
craziness.
let me ask you this question
See, I'm
because
putting it together already. I don't want to let
do
it.
you
let it
believe
out the
that
bag.
when you leave a relationship, you need time to get into yourself, to get to know yourself again?
I feel like depending on where you are in your life, yes, you do.
Okay, so that's right because both person need.
You need to heal.
Right, it's disadvantage and it's
And
wrong
it's
for.
not even that. It's. I mean, like I said. I mean, I didn't. We are rebound. I think I.
Right, but it's wrong for me to come into a relationship with you and I'm still bringing Sue with me.
Right.
I say
right,
something like
right.
this in my book, and you can take it how you want to take it.
Okay.
I feel like, and I say this in the book, that until a man or a woman is completely healed over a situation, anybody that they come close to being in love or wanting to be near them, they're going to be toxic to them.
Okay. So is this is your first book, we know. How many more books are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, things just happen. Things fall in my lap. That's just how life happens.
So you're not one of those aspire writers where you just start
Actually,
kicking
what's
them down?
crazy is that this was so miraculously Like it was just a miraculous thing. Like it just happened. Like I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna write a book. No, that's not what happened. What happened is I went through some shit. Some friends, they was like, damn, you really be going through some shit. You be hearing some shit. I done went through some shit. You should write a book. And I'm like, no. I said no for a long time. And then one day, I was really feeling some kind of way. I was like, you know what? I started writing. When I started writing, and that 3 pages turned into 5. 5 pages turned into 30. 30 then turned, you know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. So it just happened, and it flowed. So it's like, I'm not saying that I'm out here trying to be like a best author or nothing like that. If that pops off, that pops off. But
you know what's gonna happen?
What?
This is why you're gonna write other books. Because after you write this book, everybody and their mama that you know, they gonna come to you asking to write their story.
And I'm gonna be like, nope.
Yeah. Let me give you a word of advice. Say no up front unless they come with some money up front. If they come like, here, I'll pay you to write my story, then hey, I mean, you know, that's up to you to make that decision. But everybody and their mama will be like, you know what? I got a story to tell. I want you to write my story too.
If it didn't come from the real, like if it's not real, it ain't even no reason to do it. Like this is all real and it's not Lifetime. Whoever said that in the chat room, I ain't that type of chick. I ain't even cut like that. But it's definitely some real stuff. I am not one of those women where I'm like, it's always a man fault and it's always this. No, I admit my faults. I'm a woman. I've cheated before. You know what I'm saying? I've done my dirt. I've done my fair share. But I'm
shame on you now.
I mean, I'm keeping it real.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, I'm not one of those people. I don't judge nobody when they say, "Oh my God, well it was an upgrade," and she wasn't an upgrade. But it's like your mindset might be fucked up. That's probably why old dude wanted to upgrade, or you know, he made something. Like I said, something has to desire for him, in him, has to desire to that certain person at that time in his life. You have to accept people for who they are, where they are in their life.
Well, you know, wait, hold on for a minute, because I believe we got your number one fan, Sax Man. You on the phone there?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, Lord, the control room told us Sax Man on the phone. Sax
playing hooky, but as soon as he hear her voice, now all of a sudden you back to life, man.
That's right. When I get back into that studio, hold on, let me be quiet because Sean got me on assignment right now. I can't make too much noise. When I get back to that studio, I'm kicking everybody's ass because nobody told me he was going to have Miss Summers in that studio today. So y'all snuck her in there because you knew I wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, we thought it'd be better if she came. We
really did, because we had to get harassed. She really talked about the book, and right, she wasn't looking like a pork chop sitting up in the chair, you know.
Lick at my chops.
But you know, Sax Man, we so glad that you called, because we was talking earlier about some issues and everything. But Miss Summers got into the book, so now we're on her book. So what you want to know about it?
Well, that's a good question, because I want to ask Miss Summers a question here. Beautiful, lovely Miss Summers.
Yes.
My question to you is, why do women look for everything in a man that she's not prepared to give?
Well, I personally don't have the answer.
Well, wait a minute. Should I be more specific about what she's not prepared to give, or do you get what I'm talking about?
I think you're going with she's looking for a commitment when she really ain't ready to give that commitment to keep that man. Is that what you're talking about?
And she want a man with a big penis, and she got a huge vagina, and she should have a tight. She should have the opposite of what she's looking for. She want a big penis. She should have a tight. You know what?
Oh my God.
She want a man with a lot of money, but she living in a damn project down the outway. She want a brother with a lot of education, but she dropped out of school in 8th grade. You understand what I'm saying? She's asking for so much
you know what, though?
for a man that she ain't prepared to give.
I don't think that that's just women. I think that there are men that are like that too. I think that goes both ways.
Well, no, I'm speaking on the behalf of men that have been involved with women such as I spoken, that wants everything for a man. I want my man to have all this. I want my man to have all this. I want my man. And okay, so if you find him, do you think this man with all the education and money and the big penis is going to want your broke ass?
Wait a minute. Can I get real with you for a second? Let me get real with you.
Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
So somebody told me that, not even just as a woman, men too, somebody told me that if you are dating or you're looking to date and you dating and you can't find the one and you can't find the one and this one ain't doing this and this ain't doing that, right? Somebody told me to write a list of all the qualities that you are looking for in that man or in that woman. Everything from the rooter to the tutor, from the A to the Z. And you have to ask yourself, would that type of woman or would that type of man be willing to accept you as you are right then and there? And I feel like nobody, and I feel like, and I feel like nobody is willing to accept the truth. It's always easier to blame someone else. Nobody ever really wants to look in the mirror and be like, oh, well, maybe I'm a little bit too critical, or maybe I need to work on this, or maybe I drag my feet, or maybe, you know what I'm saying? No one ever actually wants to do that.
Because, Miss Summers, ever since my day, because you know Sunday is my birthday, I'll be celebrating both my birthday and Veterans
Happy birthday, Sex Man!
Thank you very much. And so I'm from the 60s, and back in the day, we
weren't born in those 60s. Were you?
You know, I'm talking about raised, man, raised. All right, even in the 1900s, man, we still took care of our business. If we meet I'm looking at Miss Summers. Let's say me and Miss Summers work in the same building or go to the same school. I'm checking Miss Summers out. I'm looking at Miss Summers' shoe. I'm looking at how Miss Summers is doing her thing, right? I'm like, well, I can't approach Miss Summers with a nappy head. I'm broke. I got a GED.
Exactly.
I ain't got
You
shit going
actually
on.
think about it, but see, that's the thing. That's
So
the problem
let me
with
go
nowadays.
before I
It's different.
approach Miss Right. So before I approach Miss Summers, let me make sure I get me right. So when I come to Miss Summers, and Miss Summers turn to me and say, what you got for me? I can say, bam, I got this for you, baby. Bam, I got that for you, baby. Now what? Miss Summers can't say nothing.
Well, not even that. I think that a lot of women are so used to how things used to be. You know, it used to be the man is the provider, the man is the protector, the man is the head, the man is this, the man is that, da 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 da. So they looking for somebody to take care of them. But the thing is, you can't be looking for nobody to take care of you when you can't even take care of yourself. That's how I was
These young
raised.
girls just looking to take care of these young boys now.
You know what I'm saying?
You
That
see
too.
them for these
That
projects.
too.
You
But
know,
it's
they
like
only baby daddy. You know, wait.
nobody.
They
Everybody
went to the
looking
baby
for.
daddy go to jail for drugs.
Listen.
And then the best friend move right up in there and be like, well, you know.
This sounds like you done been through something.
Jojo gonna be sitting up in the jail
Well,
for about 18 months.
Sax, is that a testimonial?
Yeah, he act like he writing a book. I'm about to wait a minute. We told him we wanted to sit here because he act like he writing a book.
He's speaking in third person.
I'm knowledgeable on relationships.
Oh.
How many times I told you I'm knowledgeable? I done been down this road billions
You done
of
had
times.
plenty of experience.
I was the brother moved up in there.
Well, Sax Man, on that note, you know what time it is. Right there, that was Sax Man, our main man on the beat out there. He's going to cover us down. But, you know, Miss Summers, that was really, really enjoyable talking to you about this book because we got to get it done so we can read it and we're going to bring you back because I really want to question you. See, as everybody in the chat room is saying, it's got to be done so we can talk about the book once we read the book.
Yes.
But on that note right there.
Fan base is big, I can't lose. Chicken bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the ways to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the rainbow down the yellow brick road, please believe at the end ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
Hey, right there in Studio 51, we had Sax Man got into us on the phone. We had the lovely Miss Summers in the studio with us talking about her book that she's writing. We're going to have her back. She's been with us so many times right now. Before the year's out and Christmas come, we're going to bring her back in, and we're going to talk about a lot of things right there. But Tone the Stone.
Yeah, don't leave us fiending. Don't leave us salivating, with this book and keep us waiting for too long.
I'm not. I got
you on the clock, young lady. We
I'm
waiting
on the
for
clock.
this book. Everybody out there listening, yeah, you on the clock. Everybody out there listening, it's been another great one. All y'all that tuned in, thank you again. Same time, same place next week. We'll see you there.
Mrs. Summers, we appreciate you coming in, spending some time with us. You've been here 3-4 times, and we're going to have you back just before Christmas so you can tell us about it. And I want you to tell our audience what they got to look forward to.
They got a lot to look forward to with this book. That's all I'm going to say. I can't really say too much without saying a lot.
Hey, right there. I'm your host, Sean L. Hey, Free Fall Thursday. We want to thank Facebook Live, YouTube, Snapchat. You can see us on demand on SoundCloud and Mixcloud. Hey, Russell Wilkins, thank you for joining us with your class from the University of Southern California and UCLA. Everybody in Thousand Oaks, California, we send our condolences with you. We got to stop the killing and put the guns down, folks. And guess what? Tony Stone is going to get on a panel, and when he come back, he's going to tell us what's happening there on police reform and getting our community together. Hey, and you can catch us next 3 weeks. We're going to be in the clouds because we're going on vacation, and I want everybody to have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm your host, Sean L. Later.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100.